It's amazing when you think about it. A place where the smell of fresh rotis, just out of the oven, mixes with like the energy of a wrestling match. That's Haryana for you.
It's such a vivid picture, isn't it?
Totally. Then you've got these vast forests, and you can almost hear the drums and rhythms of ancient tribal traditions. That's Sharkand.
Such distinct vibes.
And then, as you shift again, and you've got the energy of like the biggest party you can imagine, music and dancing. That's Punjab. And you sent in some incredible notes on these three states, Haryana, Jharkhand, and Punjab, and honestly, it's remarkable how different they are.
They really are. It's like looking at three completely different pieces of a puzzle.
Exactly. But when you put them together, you start to get this like incredible picture of India and its diversity. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Dive deep into these notes, explore the heart of what makes each of these places unique.
It's about going beyond just the surface level, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We want to give you a real deep understanding. So let's jump right in. First up, Haryana, land of Rhodas and wrestlers. That nickname, I mean, it says so much right off the bat.
It really does. And it instantly points to these two core parts of Haryanvi life. You've got the Rhodas representing this deep connection to the land, agriculture, and then the wrestlers, which show this emphasis on strength and physical prowess.
It's like the bread that sustains them and the strength that defines them, all in two words.
Exactly. And then within this picture, you have these really prominent communities, the Jants, the Ahurs, the Roars. They've been associated with both bravery and farming for centuries. And that history has shaped the whole social fabric of Haryana, their customs, values, everything.
It's like their history is written on the land itself.
In a way it is, and you can see it in so many things, like their traditional clothing.
Right. The dhoti kurta for men, often with the pagri, that traditional turban, and then the gagra choli with the dupatta for women. It's practical and beautiful.
Absolutely. And then there's something else, something we often overlook: humor. Your notes describe Haryanvi humor as witty and rustic. It's not just about jokes, is it?
It feels like it's a way of life, almost.
You could say that. It's very grounded in their daily experiences, rural life, agriculture, everyday situations. That's where their humor comes from. It's direct, often with a sharp edge, but it's also a way for communities to connect, share their views, and find humor in the things they all experience.
It's like shared laughter over a shared life.
Exactly.
And now, when we shift to Haryana's history, one place just stands out, Kurukshetra. I mean, the battlefield of the Mahabharata, the place where the Bhagavad Gita was delivered, that's huge.
It's one of those places that goes beyond just history. It has a spiritual and philosophical weight that's almost impossible to measure. The Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, they're still so deeply embedded in Indian culture. And Haryana is right at the heart of that narrative.
It's like holding a piece of living history.
It really is. And then you've got the battles of Panipat, 1526, 1556, 1761, each one a major turning point in Indian history, changing the course of empires. And they all happen on Haryanvi soil.
It's hard to even grasp the impact those battles had.
It really is. And it wasn't just ancient history either. Haryana played a part in the 1857 revolt against the British. Local leaders rose up, fought for their land.
And then, moving to more recent times, we have the formation of Haryana as a separate state on November 1st, 1966. What drove that separation from Punjab?
It was this growing movement, you see, to recognize a separate Haryanvi identity. The language, the culture, they felt distinct from Punjab. And forming a new state meant that they could govern themselves, develop in a way that suited their specific needs.
It's about having the freedom to shape your own future.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about traditions. Tej, celebrating the monsoon with swings and mendi, sounds so joyful. What's the deeper meaning behind all of that?
Well, Tej is celebrated in many parts of India, and it's all about welcoming the monsoon, that life-giving rain. The swings are all about expressing joy, that feeling of liberation the rain brings. And mendi, the henna, is a traditional form of adornment, often linked to, like, marital bliss and celebration.
It's like painting your joy on your hands.
In a way, it is. Then you have Guganami, where they worship Gugapir, the snake god, with music. It's a tradition you don't see everywhere.
It's definitely unique. What's the story behind it?
Well, Gugapir is this folk deity, and he's believed to protect people from snakes. And the music is a key part of the worship. There are devotional songs, storytelling. It creates a very specific atmosphere. It shows this deep respect for nature, for these local beliefs that have been passed down for generations.
It's fascinating how these beliefs are so intertwined with their lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of connections, Haryana also shares the harvest festivals of Lohri and Baisakhi with Punjab, which makes sense given their shared history.
Right. But then you also mentioned the Santhali and Korea dances, performed at weddings and celebrations. Do those point to influences beyond just Punjab?
They do. You see, cultures don't exist in isolation. The Santhali dance, for instance, likely came from interactions with communities from eastern India, where the Santhal tribe is mostly found. It speaks to migration, cultural exchange, and the Korea dance that's more specific to certain communities within Haryana. It's just pure expression of joy, a celebration of life.
It's like a tapestry woven from different threads.
Precisely.
And the music of Haryana is just as rich. Ragni, with its storytelling ballads, and Song, the folk theater, they both sound like incredibly powerful ways to keep their traditions alive.
They really are. They're like living archives of Haryana's cultural memory. The Ragni, with its humor, makes these stories, these histories, relatable, entertaining, and the song often weaves in moral lessons, social commentary, all within these theatrical performances.
It's like entertainment with a purpose.
Exactly. And then you've got this whole modern Haryanvi pop scene, artists like Sapna Chaudhary, Deelar Karkia, and Gulzar Chaniwala. It's like
Right.
tradition meeting the 21st century.
And those traditional instruments, the bin, the tumi, the dolak, they haven't disappeared either. You still hear them in the modern music.
It's a beautiful blend, isn't it? You have these young artists taking the essence of what makes Haryana unique and expressing it through modern music, reaching a whole new generation. And the presence of the traditional instruments, it's like a bridge between the past and the present.
Now let's talk food. Bajra roti and sarson kasag, those are like Haryana on a plate. What about those other dishes you mentioned, kakri ki sabzi and churma?
Well, those dishes really show you how resourceful Haryanvi cooking is. They use what's available, what grows locally. Bajra, pearl millet, is a hardy grain, perfect for the climate, so it's a big part of their diet. Kakri, that's a wild melon, and they make this tangy, delicious dish with it. And churma, it's a sweet treat made with wheat, ghee, sugar. You usually have it during celebrations.
It sounds amazing.
It is. And let's not forget the drinks, lassi, buttermilk, those are essential, especially in the summer heat. And then there's the besan masala roti, a flatbread made with gram flour and spices. It's got this amazing flavor.
Haryana sounds like a foodie's paradise.
It really does have a lot to offer. It's not just the food. Nature plays a huge role in shaping Haryana, too. Wheat, mustard, sugar cane, those are the dominant crops. And then you have the black buck, the state animal, found in the Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary.
It's like this balance between the cultivated land and the wild.
Exactly. You can see that in the importance they place on the peepal tree, which is sacred in Hinduism. And then you have these amazing wetlands like Bindawas and Sultanpur, where migratory birds come from all over.
It's a reminder that we share this planet with so many other creatures.
Absolutely.
And the people of Haryana, they've made their mark in so many ways.
Yeah.
You've got Olympic medal-winning wrestlers like Sushil Kumar, Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik, and then there's the cricket legend, Kapil Dev. What is it about Haryana that produces such incredible athletes?
It's definitely ingrained in their culture. This emphasis on physical strength, discipline, it starts early, especially in rural areas. Wrestling especially, it's almost a rite of passage. And then when you see people like Sushil Kumar, Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik winning Olympic medals, it inspires an entire generation. Kapil Dev, with his incredible cricket career, he became a role model for so many young people, not just in Haryana, but all over India.
It's about seeing what's possible.
Exactly. And it's not just sports. Haryana has made its mark on pop culture, too. Bollywood actors like Juhi Chawla and Randeep Hooda, the rapper Yo-Yo Honey Singh, they all come from Haryana.
It's interesting how they've taken their Haryanvi roots and made them a part of their success.
It speaks to the pride they have in their heritage, doesn't it?
It does. Now, we've talked about Kurukshetra and Panipat, these historically significant places, but then you have Gurugram, this modern IT and business hub. It's like a completely different side of Haryana.
It shows how adaptable Haryana is. They've embraced modernization, technology, and it's led to the growth of Gurugram as this major economic center. And then, for contrast, you have the Morni Hills, the only hill station in Haryana.
A little escape from the plains.
Exactly. It just goes to show the diversity within the state.
And then there's the language, Haryanvi. It's a direct dialect of Hindi, but it's got its own flavor. Those greetings, Ram Ram, Ke Hal Se, and phrases like Bhai tu tension na le, which means brother, don't take tension, and Guli mat de, which means don't give excuses. They've got this, like, straight-talking attitude.
Language is such a powerful part of society, and Haryanvi really reflects that straightforward, down-to-earth nature of the people. Those phrases, they give you a glimpse into their everyday lives, their way of thinking.
It's like hearing their personality in their words.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in Haryana. Let's shift gears and head east to Jharkhand, the land of forests. It feels like we're stepping into a completely different world.
We are. The minute you hear that name, Land of Forests, you know you're entering a place where nature is dominant, where tribal communities have shaped the landscape for centuries.
And you immediately mentioned the Chow dance and the Paika dance, which sounds so unique. What makes them special?
Well, the Chow dance is fascinating. It combines martial arts, acrobatics, storytelling, all while wearing these elaborate masks. It's visually stunning and incredibly athletic. Then you have the Paika dance, traditionally performed by warriors, showcasing their skills and bravery. It's all about energy, rhythm, and powerful movements.
It sounds so intense.
It is. And both of these dances are deeply rooted in Jharkhand's history, in the cultural expressions of its tribal communities. They're a window into a world that's very different from our own.
And their clothing, the tussar silk saris and the tribal jewelry, they have their own unique aesthetic, too.
They do. Tussar silk is special. It's wild silk, a specialty of Jharkhand, and the saris are incredibly beautiful. And the tribal jewelry, it's not just about decoration, it's about symbolism. They use natural materials, wood, beads, metal, and each piece carries meaning, reflecting their connection to nature and their ancestors.
It's like wearing your heritage.
Exactly. Now, historically, Jharkhand is a relatively new state. It became separate from Bihar in 2000. But the region has this long history of tribal uprisings. The Santhal Rebellion, the Birsa Munda Uprising, these were powerful movements against British rule.
They were fighting for their land, their way of life.
They were. These movements were a response to oppression, exploitation of resources, and threats to their cultural identity. Birsa Munda, especially, is revered as a hero, a symbol of their struggle for self-determination. He's often called Dharti Abba, which means Father of the Earth.
A powerful title.
It is. And then you have the other side of Jharkhand's history, its rich deposits of coal and other minerals. That's led to major industrial development, which has brought its own set of challenges, both social and environmental.
It's like the story of progress and its consequences. Now, the festivals in Jharkhand, they sound so connected to nature. Sarhul, celebrating nature and worshiping trees, that's beautiful.
It is. Sarhul marks the beginning of spring, and the sal tree, which blossoms around that time, is central to the celebrations. It symbolizes renewal, the connection between people and the forest. It's a festival of hope, of new beginnings.
And Karma Puja focused on the Karam tree. That's another example of their reverence for nature. What's so special about the Karam tree?
Well, the Karam tree is seen as a symbol of fertility, prosperity, good fortune. During Karma Puja, young people perform rituals involving the Karam tree branches. It's a way of praying for good harvests, well-being, all the things that are essential to their lives.
It's like asking for blessings from the earth itself.
In a way, it is.
Yeah.
And then you have Tusu Parab, a harvest festival, where they sing folk songs. Music seems to be everywhere in Jharkhand. It is. Music and dance, they're the heartbeat of tribal life in Jharkhand. They're woven into every aspect of their culture, festivals, ceremonies, social gatherings. It's how they express themselves, tell their stories, and keep their traditions alive.
It's like their history set to music.
You could say that. And musically, they've got a rich tradition. You mentioned the Paika songs, warrior songs, and then there's the Santali and Nagpuri folk songs with their distinct tribal beats. What kind of instruments and rhythms are we talking about?
Well, they use instruments like the dol, which is a double-headed drum, the mandar, a type of kettle drum, and various flutes and string instruments often made from natural materials. The Paika songs, they've got this powerful rhythm, like the sound of marching, of battle. And then the Santali and Nagpuri folk songs are incredibly diverse. Their themes are about daily life, nature, mythology. Each community has its own style, its own instruments, and its own rhythms. And then you have these modern artists, Ratan Turki and Jitendra Harapal, who is famous for the song Rangabati. It shows how those folk traditions are still influencing contemporary music.
It's a beautiful evolution, isn't it? Taking those roots and blending them with modern sounds, it keeps the tradition alive while reaching new audiences.
Okay, let's talk about the food in Jharkhand. Handia, the traditional rice beer, I've heard about that. It's like a cultural staple in so many indigenous cultures. And then you mentioned thakua and duska, which sound delicious. What can you tell me about them?
Well, Handia is exactly that, a staple. It's a fermented rice beer that's incredibly important in their culture. They have it during festivals, ceremonies, social gatherings. It's a way of connecting with their traditions.
Mm.
Then you have tekwa, which is a sweet treat. It's deep fried, made with wheat flour, sugar, ghee. It's very popular during festivals. And duska, that's a savory pancake made from rice and lentils. It's a very common dish, and for good reason, it's delicious.
It sounds like a perfect blend of sweet and savory.
It is. And what's really interesting is that they also incorporate a lot of wild foods into their diet, like rugra and putu, which are types of mushrooms.
Mhm.
It shows how reliant they still are on the forest for
It's
sustenance.
like the forest provides.
It does.
And speaking of the forest, Karkin's flora and fauna are incredible. The sal and mahua trees, the palash flower as the state flower, they're all so significant. And the wildlife elephants, tigers, sloth bears, even hulock gibbons.
Parkand is a treasure trove of biodiversity.
Mhm.
The salmahua trees are both ecologically and culturally important to the people there. The Palash flower, with its bright orange-red color, it's such a striking symbol of the region. And the hulat gibbon, that's India's only ape, and it's endangered, so seeing them in Jharkhand's forests is really special.
It's like a reminder of how fragile our ecosystems are.
It is.
We talked about Birsa Munda, this iconic historical figure. And then you have MS Dhoni, the cricketer, also from Jharkhand. It's fascinating to see people from such different backgrounds making their mark on the national stage. And you even mentioned that Priyanka Chopra has ancestral roots in Jharkhand.
These individuals, they've achieved success in their fields, but they also maintain their connection to Jharkhand. They bring recognition to the state, and they inspire people, especially young people, to dream big. Dhoni, particularly, is a hero to many. His story resonates with so many people.
It's about representation, isn't it? Seeing yourself reflected in someone who's achieved something great.
Exactly.
Now, the cities in Jharkhand, they each seem to tell a different part of its story. Ranchi, the capital city, has the Jagannath Temple and the Hundru Falls, blending cultural and natural attractions. Then you have Jamshedpur, India's first planned industrial city, home of Tata Steel.
Ranchi is the heart of Jharkhand, in many ways. It's the administrative, commercial, and cultural center. You have the Jagannath Temple, an important religious site, and then the Hundru Falls, which are just beautiful. Jamshedpur, on the other hand, represents a turning point in India's economic history. It was a planned city built around industry, specifically steel production. It was a vision of progress, of modernization.
Two sides of the same coin.
Precisely. And then you have Deoghar, a major pilgrimage destination because of the Baba Baidyanath Temple, which is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas, representations of Lord Shiva. And finally, there's Netherhat, often called the Queen of Chotanagpur. It's a hill station, known for its beautiful scenery and its pleasant climate.
So you've got history, industry, religion, and natural beauty all in one state.
It's quite remarkable.
And linguistically, Jharkhand is incredibly diverse. Hindi is spoken there, but so are Nagpuri, Kortha, Santali, Ho, Mundari. It's a reflection of the many different communities that call Jharkhand home. And then you have that tribal greeting, Johar, which is so respectful. And phrases like Ektadam Bindas, which means totally cool, and the use of Dada and Didi for elder brother and elder sister, it gives you a sense of the way of speaking.
Language is like a fingerprint. It tells you so much about a culture. The diversity of languages in Jharkhand speaks to its history, its social fabric. Johar is a beautiful greeting, shows respect, acknowledgement, and the use of Dada and Di, it emphasizes the importance of family, of respecting your elders.
It's like built-in politeness.
You could say that.
Okay, our final stop takes us northwest to Punjab. When I think of Punjab, I think of energy, vibrancy, color, and an unshakable sense of identity.
You're right. Punjab's cultural richness just explodes outward. It's there in their dances, the Bhangra and the Gita, so full of life. It's in their traditions, their colorful clothing, like the Fulkari embroidery, the Patiala salwar, the kurta pajama. Everything about Punjab feels vibrant.
It's like their spirit is reflected in everything they do.
Exactly. And historically, the teachings of Guru Nanak and the founding of Sikhism are at the very core of Punjab's identity.
Mm.
And the Golden Temple in Amritsar, built in 1604, it's not just a building, it's the heart of Sikhism.
It's a place of immense spiritual significance, isn't it?
It is. Guru Nanak's philosophy of oneness, of service, it shaped Punjab's history, culture, everything. And the Golden Temple, Harmandir Sahib, It draws millions of devotees. It symbolizes their heritage, their resilience.
And we can't talk about Punjab without mentioning the partition of India in 1947. It was a devastating event for Punjab, dividing the region, causing so much suffering. And later, Operation Blue Star at the Golden Temple in 1984, another incredibly difficult chapter in their history.
The partition was a trauma that's still felt today. The division of land, the violence, the displacement, it left a deep scar on Punjab. And Operation Blue Star, it was a military action that had profound and lasting repercussions for Sikhs. It's a complex and painful part of their past.
But despite those challenges, Punjab's celebratory traditions are so strong. Lori, with its bonfires and music, Baisakhi, the harvest festival, and Sikh New Year, even Karva Chauth, which is observed across North India, has its own special significance in Punjab. They seem to find joy even in the face of hardship.
These festivals are woven into the fabric of their lives. Lori, in January, marks the end of winter. It's a time for coming together, sharing warmth, singing, and celebrating. Baisakhi, in April, is about the harvest, the bounty of the land, and it's also a key religious day for Sikhs. It's about new beginnings.
And musically, Punjab is just a powerhouse. Bhangra music, with its infectious dole beats, is known worldwide. And then you have the timeless folktale of Hiranja, and the modern Punjabi pop scene with artists like Diljit Dosanjh, Sidhu Moosewala, A.P. Dillon. It's huge.
Bhangra is like the musical embodiment of Punjab's energy and spirit. It's impossible not to move to it. And Hirancha, it's a story that's been told and retold for generations, a classic tale of love, loss, and societal barriers. And the modern pop artists, they're taking Punjabi music global, blending traditional sounds with contemporary styles, and they're finding a huge audience.
It's like their music is crossing borders.
It is.
Okay, let's talk food. I mean, you can't talk about Punjab without mentioning food. Sarson da saag and makki di roti, that's just classic Punjabi comfort food. And butter chicken, as your notes mention, it originated in Punjab. Then, of course, you have chole bhature and a refreshing glass of lassi.
Punjabi cuisine is all about flavor, richness, and warmth. Sarson da saag, which is mustard greens, with makki di roti, cornbread, it's the perfect winter meal. And butter chicken, it's become a global phenomenon, but it's rooted in Punjab's culinary tradition. Chole bhature, spiced chickpeas with fried bread, it's a favorite for a reason. And lassi, that cool yogurt-based drink, it's a perfect way to beat the heat.
Honestly, it all sounds so delicious.
It is. And let's not forget the natural landscape. Punjab is known for its fertile farmland, wheat and mustard being the main crops. It's a reminder of their role as the granary of India. And like in Haryana, the peepal tree is sacred here too. And in terms of wildlife, you have the black buck and the Punjab urial, which are native to the region.
It's like this connection to the land goes beyond just agriculture.
It does. It's woven into their beliefs, their traditions, everything.
Now, Punjab has produced some incredible figures. Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Lion of Punjab, he's legendary. And then you have talented Bollywood actors like Akshay Kumar and Yami Gautam. And Punjab is known for its dominance in sports like hockey and kabaddi.
Ranjit Singh's reign was a pivotal moment in Punjab's history. He was a powerful ruler, and his legacy is still felt today. And the Punjabi film industry, it's a major force in Bollywood. And actors like Akshay Kumar and Yami Gautam, they bring a certain Punjabi flair to their roles.
Yeah.
And their success in sports like hockey and kabaddi, it speaks to their athleticism, their competitive spirit.
It's like they're driven to succeed.
You could say that.
And when we think of iconic locations in Punjab and Amritsar, with the Golden Temple and the Wagah border ceremony, those are images that everyone knows. Then you have Chandigarh, India's first planned city, a modern marvel, and Jallianwala Bagh, a place that carries the weight of history, a reminder of a tragic event during India's struggle for independence.
Amritsar is a city that's steeped in history and spirituality. The Golden Temple draws people from all over the world, and the Wagah border ceremony is a spectacle, a display of national pride. Chandigarh is a city that was designed for the future, with its modern architecture and planned layout. And Jallianwala Bagh is a place of remembrance, a reminder of the sacrifices made in the fight for freedom.
It's like a tapestry of history, religion, and modernity all woven together.
Exactly.
And finally, the language, Punjabi. It's got this energy, this pride. Greetings like Sat Sri Akal, expressions of excitement like Bale Bale, the cheering Chaktafat, and that phrase Punjabi on Dishanwakri, which means Punjabis have a unique pride. It all speaks volumes.
Punjabi is a language that's full of life, and those phrases, they capture the essence of the Punjabi spirit. Sat Sri Akal is a greeting that acknowledges the divine within everyone. Bale Bal is pure joy, it's celebration. And Chaktafat, it's encouragement, a call to action. And that phrase about Punjabi pride, it speaks to their resilience, their unwavering sense of self.
It's like they carry their identity with them wherever they go.
They do.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Haryana, Jharkhand, and Punjab, what stands out to me is how distinct each of these states is. Haryana, with its deep connection to the land, its wrestling tradition, Jharkhand, with its tribal heritage, its forests, its resources, and Punjab, with its Sikh history, its music, its unyielding spirit. They're all pieces of the Indian puzzle.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And when you look at them together, you see the connections, the shared threads of culture and history, but also those stark contrasts. We talked about the harvest festivals that Haryana and Punjab share, but then you have the differences in their religious landscapes. Haryana and Punjab, they're both heavily agricultural, while Jharkhand, with its mineral wealth, is more industrialized.
It's like different paths to progress.
Exactly.
Now, for you, our listener, as you've been listening to all of this, what's resonated with you? What surprised you? What sparked your curiosity as we explored these diverse cultures, these histories, these ways of life?
This deep dive has really made me think, with all this history, these dynamic changes we've seen in Haryana, Jharkhand, and Punjab, what does it tell us about how regional identities are evolving within the larger context of India? And how do these states, with their unique heritages, contribute to the overall richness and complexity of India? It's like a question worth pondering.
It is. It's like we've just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to discover.